Yo, 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 what is going on? It is the Crazy Writer right here, right now, back with Chapter 4 of my Invader Zim fanfiction. A reminder that Chapter 1 through 3 are down in the description if you have not already listened to those readings. With that, let us continue the story, so sit back, relax, and enjoy it all, right here, right now. Chapter 4 CooCoo. Another few days later, we were all outside for recess. I wasn't sure why, but I now feel the need to spend as much time with my friend Zim as I can. He's nearly all I can think about. Every day I walk him home after school. I've been in his house enough times, and seen him without his disguise. I absolutely love Gurr. He reminds me of some of the pups in my old pack. Dib and I don't talk much anymore. I haven't been to his house in over a week, and I used to go at least 3 days a week. I miss him, of course, but he's the one that's acting like such a pup and bullying Zim all the time. I tell Dib to stop, but the more I defend Zim, the more Dib seems to despise him. During recess, the child was hit in the gut with a ball. "My organs!" Zim started laughing at the boy. "Inferior human organs!" A ball then hit Zim in the same area. "Ah, my squiddly spooch!" I was on all fours, near the trash can, and smirked. "That why I not stand on 2 legs, Zim?" Back in class, Miss Bitters was lecturing us on the Black Plague. "So you see, ring around the rosy refers to the horrible symptoms of a horrifying disease." At that moment, a pigeon flew in through the open window and perched itself on Zim's head. I started reaching up to snatch myself a better-than-school-served lunch, but was interrupted. "Zim!" Zim sat up at Miss Bitters calling on him. "Sir!" "There's a pigeon on your head. You've got head pigeon. Get to the nurse before they spread to the other children." Zim climbed out of his desk. "Yes, Miss Bitters." "No leaving class without a hall pass, Zim." Zim turned back to the teacher. "Of course." Miss Bitters gave him a neck device that would explode if he left the premises. While Zim was near Dib, Dib started whispering to Zim, but thanks to my superior wolf ears, I could hear every word. "You know, Zim, when the nurse examines you, she'll notice you don't have human organs. Then it's just a short step to a hospital, and from there to an alien autopsy table, and then you're just another segment on Mysterious Mysteries." I started growling lowly towards Dib, as Zim turned to him. "I'll be fine. I bet my squeedly spooch on it." As Zim exited the classroom, I told him, "Later, little buddy." A few minutes later, Miss Bitters was talking about the rats of the plague. I raised my hand because I had something to say on the subject. "Us wolves eat rats. If weak humans let more us in villages, we catch vermin, and more you survive." "You're not a wolf," came from the back of the class. Dib raised his hand, and I looked to see a pencil sticking out of his nose. I love this because it's kind of like Liz was unknowingly the distraction that Dib needed to break the pencil and put it in his nose. I just like that it's kind of nice and subtle and clever, if I do say so myself. Anyway. "Miss Bitters, I think a pencil is lodged in my brain. Can I go to the nurse?" "How far in your brain?" Dib looked down at the pencil. "Pretty far." "All right, take the auxiliary hall pass." Miss Bitters pointed to a large radiator. Not long later, the bell rang for lunch. I pranced down to the cafeteria to find everyone pale and groaning in pain. Zim wasn't at our usual table, but I found Gaz tapping her lap, which was glowing. "Gaz, what going on?" "Go away, she-wolf, I'm almost done with this level." I backed away from her and suddenly heard a pigeon cooing. I looked over to see an extremely large and lumpy Zim sitting at our table. I rushed over to him. "Zim, what happened to you? What you do?" I was now on 2 legs. "Oh, nothing, just—" We were interrupted by Dib running over. "That's it, Zim! This has to stop!" I shook my head while staring at Zim. "You know, me not help but agree with Dib, this one." Dib looked at me surprised. You do? Of course you do, Liz. Zim played dumb. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Look at you! You've gone too far! I nodded in agreement with Dib. You're a hideous blob of stolen organs! I've been working out. Zim started gagging and an intestine spilled out of his mouth and landed around me and Dib. Zim slurped it back in like a noodle and smiled. I wasn't grossed out by any of it. Come on, I eat raw rats and squirrels. In fact, 2 or 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had quite enough restraint to keep myself from feeding on those intestines. Meat is meat, after all. What unsettled me about this was how he had stuffed himself like this. 1 of each organ would have sufficed. You think you could fool a trained medical professional? Yes. I suppose you've got a heart in there. 6 of them. Intestines, large or small. Spleen, in 3 different colors. What about lungs? Zim raised a hand and was about to answer but stopped. He brought out his mechanical legs from his pack and rose to the vent. You won't find lungs on my watch, Zim! Dib turned to me and grabbed my shoulders. Liz, we've got to stop him from stealing any more organs. I nodded, and we looked around the cafeteria. We found Torque, who was colorful, eating, and lifting a dumbbell. Dib and I rushed over to him. I was back on all 4s. You look like you've stood out all your organs. Torque tapped at his chest. Yeah, so? You're in danger. Come with us, Dib told him. I have to go lift things. Dib glanced at me and hesitated. Then we'll go with you. We were all walking down the hallway, and Torque kept lifting as Dib explained everything to him while frantically looking around. I was on 4s, walking next to Torque, who looked down at me after Dib ranted for a while. Is he always like this? I looked up at Torque. Yeah, you get used to after a while. All of a sudden, Torque was no longer next to me. I looked up again to see him being dragged towards a vent by a mechanical spider leg. I looked back at Dib, who still hadn't noticed. Dib? He looked at me swiftly. Yeah, Liz? He saw that Torque was gone. Oh no. Oh yeah, I told him. We then heard some zapping sounds coming from one of the rooms, and we ran to the dark taxidermy room just as the zap stopped. Torque? Torque Smacky, is that you? Dib turned on the light, and I started sniffing the ground and the air for either the scent of testosterone, alien, or pigeon. We searched and searched the room, but couldn't find anything. Come on, man, talk to me. Let me know you're still here. I caught it then, the scent of the pigeon and the scent of the alien. But at that point it was too late. The metal leg had wrapped itself around me and pulled me into the vent. Zim held me down with a hand over my mouth. I could hear Dib searching for me below. I bit Zim's hand and he hissed quietly. If you must take organ from me, take my skin and replace it with flesh and fur of already dead wolf, I told him. I'm more wolf than human inside, so make same outside. I don't need your flesh, puny wolf child. Well, no take any more organs. You have more enough already. Since you've been my only real friend since my coming to Earth, I will spare you and you will feel grateful, Zim whispered. I do feel grateful, I nodded. Good. Zim grinned before lowering himself down to chase after Dib. My heart was racing like it does after chasing a rabbit for a mile, and I sighed. Zim really does think of me as his friend, even to the point where he spares me over every human. He didn't have to do that. At the end of the day, Zim was cleared of his head pigeon and deemed one of the healthiest boys the nurse had seen. Dib was accused of being a human-cow hybrid because Zim had replaced his lungs with a moo-maker. I spent that evening at the Membrane House. There it is, folks. I hope you enjoyed that read enough to return for all the other chapters to follow this one. I ain't afraid of a little feedback, so let me know what you think. I will see you little darlings next time, and remember, keep your crazy.